you're going?
Oh, going over to Metal Dudes' house. Why?
Dude, it's like 80 degrees out. Why are you wearing a coat and a hat?
Joe, I know, dude. Why do you think I'm wearing shorts? Duh. God, you starting to act like that bald shredder guy. God.
Maybe so, but you're a lot dumber than that metal guy.
Damn.
Hello and welcome to Fulton Street Beats. Well, we have the Asmuse electric guitar, Dinky Style we call it, although it is more of a Ibanez shape, especially as the bald shredder pointed out. Yeah, definitely more of an Ibanez shape. A little bit of Dinky thrown in there too, I guess, but definitely pointier. Got this very interesting, very nice looking headstock, very nicely cut. We're going to go over this guitar. We're going to dive into it a little bit. I'm going to set the action up a little lower. We're going to see if that is going to require either shimming or exactly what it's going to entail. But that's what we're going to do today. We're going to pull these pickups out, see exactly what they are. And, well, just give it maybe a fresh set of strings and see if we make this play the best that it can. And in between, we're also going to take some measurements of some things and make sure that everything's spot on. We're going to start with a scale length to see exactly what the scale length is. And the scale length is 25.5. So that's what we're going to roll with, 25.5 inch scale length. First thing I notice is this pickup is rather high right here. So we're going to adjust this pickup down. And we're going to adjust our action a little bit. Let's lower this pickup if we can. How low can we get it? That is the question. Sometimes you only can go so far with these, but that's pretty low right there. So we're gonna check our pickup height right now, and I'm gonna do this in millimeters and the 12th. And we're a little higher than I thought it was actually. So we're gonna definitely needs to be dropped a little bit. So we're gonna drop this down. We'll see how low we can go first without adjusting any neck relief or anything like that. So we're at about, we're actually pretty high, but it didn't feel a little high because it plays so well. It's at 2.25 millimeters. I might want to drop this down to at least 1.75. So let's start there and drop it down. Now I always turn it up before I go down to make sure there's no burrs in the threads. We're going to drop that to 1.75. I'm going to try to keep it equal. Then we'll check for buzz. Or any muting out, and we don't have any muting out. So that is a good thing. We're at 1.75. Let's see exactly how low we can go with this saddle. We can go to 1.5, which is right there. Very nice. So now we got our extremely low action there. And we're going to carry it on through and hopefully we can keep repeating this until we get the desired result. And okay, so the high string was higher than any other one, definitely, but we're still going to drop this one lower or twist it both ways. Make sure you got no bird threads. There. Let's see what we got. Very nice. There, that's how we do that. Okay, we're just going to carry this on through. And everyone is just a touch too high. And I think they did that because the pickup height was actually higher than it should have been. So there we go again. And I think, honestly, 1.5 is a nice, comfortable number. And we could work with it and get it even lower if you want to dial it in even more. But to me, that's very, very comfortable. This 1.5 millimeters is very comfortable to me. Without going overboard. Of course, we can get it lower if you want to. If you definitely want to do that. But I always like, that's pretty much where I set all my guitars up, unless they come set lower. Like some of your Kramers come slammed right down there. And definitely. This one's going to require, there we go. Make sure you always go down and then give it a little snug up to make sure it's tight. Of course, we got to tune it up too, which is going to actually, once it's tuned up to standard, and you want to make, you'll get buzzed the lower the tuning, of course. But in standard tuning, of course, this would be lower than standard. We have nothing dying out, so that's good. And you can feel the difference between the height already. Just putting your finger, noticeably these are the correct. Now you always want to do it with the radius of the fretboard. That's why we always gauge this as we go. Once again, make sure we got no burning. We always want to go lower. I don't know if I mentioned this. Lower, and then back up, and it puts tension on the screws. I try to get my head down local. There we go. And I think I'm a thumb in here. All right, we're good there. Now, it's just so much, when you run your fingers across, so much considerably higher on the low E now. I mean, considerably higher. So, I'm going to drop this one down now. And this is the one I was most concerned about, was the low E. Oh, that's beautiful. Very nice right there. So now we have our action very well set. A lot better than it was out of the box. It wasn't bad out of the box. It's very playable. Like I said, this guitar is pretty amazing out of the box. So now we're going to set our pickup height. Now I'm going to set this to a standard pickup height that I normally set all of my guitars at. And because we're going to set it at about 2.25 millimeters to start on the bridge. We might be close to that right now. Actually, that is almost spot on there. Almost spot on there. It has to come up just a touch, but it's pretty close. When I say just a touch, I mean just a touch. So you'll notice a lot of times pickups have an arc to them, like a curve 2.2. One more little turn. And I keep them, to start, I keep them equal from the bass string to the treble string to 5. And how far away? Now, this one's going to be a whole different animal. And it's going to be hard to get the gauge in, so I'm going to have to flip the guitar around the other direction. And we're almost there. Actually, we're almost there on that side, too. .25, and there's way off on this side. So 2.25 versus. And that's why I use cards, guys, instead of metal, because with the cards, I'm just setting this right now to check it, and I'm gonna go check some volumes, and then come back and do some other stuff. So this isn't gonna make sense to you in the grand scheme of what I'm doing today. but it's going to make sense to me because I want to make sure that the tones are correct. So there we go. So we have our height to our pickup set the way I like them. And now I'm going to cut for a second. I'm going to test the sound and then come back. And then we're actually going to de-string, put some new strings on and pull the pickups out. So normally I would just set the height afterwards, but it's not a big deal. They're going to go right back in their same spot. So let me break, go back, test sound, and I'll be right back. Okay, so everything checked out. Okay, we're back. And then upon doing that afterwards, I wanted to double check the neck. Where we got some tension on the neck. Not running really any relief in this neck, but there is some tension on it, and it's perfectly flat and very, very level. So it's a good setup guitar. So that's great. Now we're going to, this is we've got a reverse headstock. So I got to turn it around this way, turn it here, and we're going to start detuning. Switch camera angles for you guys. And let's get these strings off of here. Now look at this. This is barely wound. This was like look how short this is on there. I'm surprised it held, but it did. And we're seeing that. I mentioned it in the unboxing video. Whoever strung this up really didn't give a lot of winds on these strings that they're not wound correctly either. So, but there's not a lot there. So slippage could have happened, although it really didn't seem in tune really, really well. But we're gonna put some 10 to 46s on here. I'm gonna do the Orpheus. A lot of people hate the Orpheus. I think it's a psychosomatic thing with them, to tell you the truth. In their mind, cheap strings can't sound good. I love them, so that's what I'm using. And it may change the tension on this neck when we're done, so we might have to do some more adjusting afterwards. I'm gonna check these nuts while we're right here and make sure that everything is tip-top and ready to go. And pay no attention to my mess that we have going on here, because the regular. So every time I get a new guitar, every time these are loose, and this is no exception, not extremely loose, but just loose enough where they need a little snug. And when I say snug, we literally snug them. And it's best to snug than over tighten, especially on a headless headstock like this. Just snug, and then every time you do a string change, come back through and just make sure they're tight, because they very well can loosen up on you. So pass through body, of course, guys. So let's take our strings and start pushing them all out, and hopefully nothing binds. This is another indication of a good bridge. If you get binding with strings, not like that, but when you're trying to push the heads of the strings out, the ball ends, if they bind, then something's not really right. And we've all had those. I've had high-end Fenders that have bound. That's not it. So the ferrules on here are actually nicely done. Nothing's falling out, because usually, if it's a cheap guitar, we have these falling out. These are not. So that is good. We will put these strings aside in case we ever need an emergency string, which we really never do. So I'll probably throw them away. But so very, very nice. Very, very nice frets. We've already cleaned this fretboard up the other day. Super nice frets on this. And the nut is in place, and it's not moving. So that is definitely a plus. But now we got this apart, let's give it a bit of just a brush off. It's already very clean, so maybe get into the bridge a little bit, clean some dust off the bridge. Well, it's a good time to do that. And I'm going to change camera angles on you once again. Okay, so here we are. What a beautiful body. I'm actually, you know something? I think probably the ugliest part of this guitar, and I mean no offense to the company, is their logo right here. I think if it was a different color, maybe in a gold or something, maybe even a metallic type color, or none at all, it would have been a much better looking guitar. But we're going to pull one of these things. Now, I know they're wax body. They got wax in them because I actually had to rub wax off the outside of the pickup when I got it. So let's pull our bridge pickup out. I'm going to tell you what, if I had some gold screws, they would be going back in, and we might even look for some of that stuff. See if the highlights are nice. when you highlight things. So like I said, the bridge is nothing special, but it serves, it serves the purpose. It's definitely seems like an aluminum bridge. How is it going to wear? I don't know. Time will tell, but that's an inexpensive part to upgrade if you ever need to. So, and it seems to be working very well right at the moment. So, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that this guitar is definitely the body's definitely CNC made. If you ever seen CNC bodies before, these are a ceramic pickup for sure, with a weird magnet setup on them, definitely, but a heavy pickup, very nice, unlabeled. They sound good, and I can still see the wax up in there. Yeah, this is a bit different. When you're looking up in there. There's magnets on the outside of each one, and then in the middle also, so they set it up a little bit different than most pickups. I really, really like these pickups, by the way. So as you can see, this body, this is definitely not routed out with a router. This is a CNC built guitar. The cavity is too perfect on this. And I noted that when I took the back cover off. I was like, definitely CNC made. So that's why a lot of these budget guitars are so good lately. It's because they're going to CNC, and which makes the quality control a bit better across the board, which is why we're seeing outstanding bodies and with the pickups and everything. And then when we have any flaws, it's usually in the neck, mostly in the fretboards. But this is a really nice fretboard, and if I haven't told you, this is the appearance of real dark rosewood. Is it? I don't know. It feels it, and it's got that odd texture grain that a lot do have. And I think while we're in here, I'm probably going to do this off camera. We'll clean this fretboard off just a touch more. What can it hurt, right? Get it the best it can be. But there's your pickups, guys. Very well done. It's a nice pickup. It's a pretty heavy pickup, and the springs in it, the quality of the springs that they use are your El Cheapo springs that you usually see either. So one thing I can tell you about this guitar is the pickups in this absolutely rip. They rip, and honestly, I love it. It's fantastic. So we're going to put this back in there in that cavity. And I'm sure the pickups are different in this. They have a very different tone when you're using your switch. Huge difference in tone. And the neck pickup is so beautiful sounding. Love it. Very speed by sounding on that neck pickup. Let's put this back in. Now, the switch is nothing special. The pots are CF pots, but they work and they fade. Watch the unboxing. They fade in and out extremely, extremely well. Every bit of the movement is usable on both the volume and the tone. So there is that. Okay, so I'm going to go now, and I'm going to clean up this fretboard a little bit, because I see a little grime in there. So I'm going to clean this fretboard up a little bit, and then we're going to string it up. Okay, I decided to take you along for this. So you guys know that my favorite thing to use on a fretboard, especially when you got the strings off, is organic coconut oil. Okay, and this is refined. You can use unrefined, but just make sure there's no additives in it. Make sure it's organic, because you don't want it to turn rancid. The coconut oil with chemicals can turn rancid. So see, I just use the refined, and I'm putting this on liberally because I don't want this. It's going to sink in anyhow, but I don't want it to dry out. It's got a great pH for fretboards. It works a lot better than lemon oil, as I've shown throughout many guitar videos. It'll keep it shine a lot longer, and it cleans very good. So this is going to take any debris or roughness out of that fretboard. As I can tell, because there's a little black on my hands that wasn't there before. And then we simply start here and get up next to the fret. We do our rubbing, and this will take it off, and I can see it in my rag. Not bad. It's actually pulling the residue, the blackness out of the grain is what it's doing. So the board itself is clean. It's the crap in the grain. There we go. You can see that. It's very good. It's very good for Pauline because he cleans everything very, very well. So you don't have to worry about it. You can use it liberally and just wipe it off. Oh, that's so much better. So much better now. Just a whole different level of shine. I hope the camera's picking it up. Whole different level of shine to it now. Now, if I haven't mentioned one kind of blemish that this guitar has is around a couple of these dot inlays, which is why I'm thinking this is real rosewood. Real rosewood's hard to work with. Can be very beautiful, especially the dark rosewood. For some reason, very hard to work with, hard to cut. And you'll see that there's actually some fill missing around the dot here. It's actually in the exact same place here, and here. So the dot inlays aren't perfect on this, and sometimes that's just what happens when you work with rosewood, but it might not be. I mean, I'm saying it is rosewood, but it looks it. I'm going to show you the grain here. See that grain? And rosewood has a texture to it, so you do feel the texture's not exactly smooth. You can get it super smooth, but usually it's not super smooth, which is fine because, you know, you're putting all your pressure on the frets. But you see right there, you got a little bit of fill missing here, a little bit of fill missing here, same here, all over. That's usually happens with dot inlays on rosewood, and that's where they probably cut the corners the most because this is the hardest to work with. But still a good looking fretboard. You got to be right on it to notice it. But look at that shine now. A natural shine. Not overly glossy, just a natural shine, which is fantastic. And by the way, it's a good time right now to even throw some on your headstock, some organic coconut oil on your headstock. And what that does, and a lot of people use organic coconut oil for furniture, for fine furniture. And what it does is it nourishes the wood and it prevents cracking or slipping. So as you can see, it shines up the headstock nice and there's no residue left over. Really easy to wipe off. There we are. Very, very nice. Look at that beautiful grain. I love this neck. Really nice neck. Really like these tuners too. Generic. I say generic. There's just no name brand on them. Could be made by a number of companies, but they work really, really well. Okay. So, we got that all done. Let's, just going to wipe off in where these pickups are. Right here. Make sure it's totally clean. There we are. And we'll start stringing this thing up. Now, for those of you that don't follow the channel, Orpheus, these are a 10 to 46. I like them. Some people get so mad because I like them, but I like them. Hey, what can I say? They work quite well. For me, anyhow. I use them all the time. They're almost on everything now. I prefer them over Slinkies, and I will continue to use them until I find a QC issue, and I haven't found a QC issue yet. So we always check them, make sure that they're the right length before we start tuning anything up. And that could be an issue with a guitar with a reverse headstock. So let's see if that's going up in there properly. And it is. It doesn't have a real long run there, so and appears that our string is going to be just perfect in length. So we're going to set that to the side. We'll move on to our next string. I like to do it like this, so when I'm winding, I'm not going back and forth. I'm just at that end. And then we're not running into any surprises. As far as lengths go, these strings are all, this is cut the exact same length as the other string. So obviously there's a bit of quality control going on. And this is a good test. You got a reverse headstock or a left-handed guitar. Good test to know if the strings are going to work. Because I haven't did this on the left-handed guitar or a reverse headstock guitar before. So, 3. Let's see if this is the same length. Let's see. Identical. So there's quality control in these strings. These are identical lengths. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Close up. Let's check the length again. Yes, once again, they're all the same length. That is a very good sign. You guys know I have a bunch of Ernie balls in here that just were so all over the place in length, and some didn't reach the tuners, and not a good thing. Lastly, our high E. Let's see, we'll check these last two, see if they're all the same length too. There we go. I think. There we are. You gotta be careful because when it hits on the inside, you just don't want to kink a string. It's one thing you don't want to do, especially the strings with high nickel. Don't do it. So we're gonna check our links, and I would have to say that links on the strings. Now I'm pulling them. I have to get all equal here. These strings are all equal length. I don't know. They're coming out of length now, but they're all equal. Equal. Very good sign. There we go. Okay, we're going to string this up. I'm not going to bore you with it. Let's string it up and recheck action. Okay, so we're all strung up. Super easy peasy. Just got her tuned up. I'm actually double checking the tuning right now. Stretching the strings a little bit. There we go. Very, very cool. And it sounds good. We just plugged it in over there too. Sounds fantastic. I'm really loving this guitar. So what do you guys think about this guitar? I think it's pretty great and playable out of the box. That was the best part. Playable out of the box. Of course, this is going to sound and play a lot better now. I got the action adjusted to my liking. I got the pickup height adjusted to my liking. You guys can do what you like. This is just kind of, my liking. And a lot of people have asked about the weight of this guitar. So actually, let's get a weight right now. What do you say? Hopefully I can get this on camera for you. We're just going to hang it by a tuner. And yeah, I'm very sure of this headstock, so I'm not really worried about it. Well, let's get a weight here. Get you down in there. 6.06 pounds. Yeah, pretty light guitar, but remember, this is American poplar. The body is American poplar and a Canadian maple neck, and it's a little fingerprinty right now because of the coconut oil we used. Normally you wouldn't have these on. You just wipe it off. Wipes off quickly, easily. Beautiful finish on the guitar. Beautiful fretboard. Stays in tune. Amazing looking headstock. You don't got to worry about it breaking, I assure you. Fantastic. Tuners work great. Now we're just waiting for these strings to break in a little bit. And as you can see, now they're actually wound properly and correctly, where before they were so bad. Crazy. But now it's right. Tight, right, and ready to fight. So let's get over and play a little bit. You guys aren't going to see this. We'll do it in the next video. But remember, guys, it's rock and roll that makes the world go round. Peace. Bye.